The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. Then Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him. God forbid, Lord, no such thing shall ever happen to you. He turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me. You are thinking not as God does, but as human beings do. Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. What profit would there be for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? Or what can one give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in his Father's glory, and then he will repay all according to his conduct. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Dear brothers and sisters, good evening.
Good evening, Father.
Suffering is important, but it is also something that we would like to avoid, as human as we are. And yet, how is suffering viewed by Jesus? Ano ba ang kahulugan para sa ating Panginoon ng paghihirap? This is the theme of our gospel this Sunday, which is from Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 to 27. In response to the narrative that Jesus was telling his disciples after Peter declared, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God, our gospel last Sunday. And the Lord really gave him a good clapping. Talagang pinarangalan si Peter with that response to the question, Who do you say I am? Sino ba ako para sa iyo? And the answer of Peter, if we recall, You are Christ, the Son of the living God. Ikaw si Kristo, ang anak ng Diyos na buhay. And the acknowledgments of the Lord, how pleased he was to hear Peter declare this. He said, I tell you, Peter, or Simon, son of Jonah, it is not from your flesh and blood, nor from you that this response came from, but rather it was my Father who revealed this to you. And so I say, You are Peter, the rock, and to you and I will build my church through you. And then he gave him the keys of the kingdom. Whatever sins you forgive Peter will be forgiven, and whatever sins you retain, they will be kept. They will be retained. So ito po yung naunang bahagi nitong ating ebanghelyo. And now we have the continuation. But before the ending of that gospel, if I may bring you back to last Sunday's gospel, sabi ni Jesus, Do not tell this to anyone. Keep this among yourselves. And that's what we call, in the Gospel of St. Mark, the Messianic secret. And the question that we should be asking now is, why did the Lord prevent Peter and his companions from telling everyone about Jesus, of Jesus' messiahship, the Son of the living God? Obviously, the answer, dear brothers and sisters, is found in this gospel this Sunday. Because to be Messiah, as far as the Lord is concerned, to be Son of the living God, ito po ang dapat nating maintindihan. Jesus began, let me quote the first part of the gospel, to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests and the scribes, be killed, and on the third day be raised. This is what it means to be Messiah. Did Peter understand that? Obviously, the answer is no. Hindi niya naintindihan yan, together with his companions. That is why, when he heard Jesus declared that he will go to Jerusalem to suffer greatly and to die at the hands of the leaders of Israel at that time, ano sabi ni Peter? God forbid, Lord, no such thing should ever happen to you. Sana hindi mangyayari ang anumang sinasabi ninyo. God forbid. These are very strong statements from Peter. And the response of the Lord, the answer of the Lord to him is, "Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me. You are thinking not as God does, but as human beings do." Magpasakop ka. That's the translation among the Filipino translations. Mawala ka sa harapan ko. The Lord was telling Peter, you are not supposed to think that way. That's the human way of understanding my messiahship. My messiahship is beyond that. It means suffering. It means sacrifice. And it means death. But I will not end there, because after 3 days, I will rise. We call that the resurrection. So, dear brothers and sisters, we turn to this dialogue between Peter and Jesus and ask ourselves, Lord, how do I see suffering in my life? Paano ko tinitingnan? Paano ko ito inuunawa? Yung mga paghihirap ko meron na akong dinadaanan sa buhay. Pwede bang sabihin mo sa katabi mo, pareho lang tayo. Huy. We are the same. We all have our own share of sufferings in life. But we have different ways of suffering. We have different kinds of suffering. There are others who are tormented by psychological difficulties. And there are others who are going through because of emotional pain and suffering, pain in life. There are others who are suffering because of sickness. There are others who are suffering because of material considerations or concerns in life. But no matter what, lahat ng ito, anong dala-dala nito sa buhay natin? When we suffer, we really are tormented. I remember some of those who came to me for counseling and for direction. Sabi niya, nung isang nakausap ko, sabi, Father, I'm so tortured. I could not sleep. I have no peace. Can you help me? Then we talk, and then eventually, nag-settle down. Apparently, the man was going through a crisis in his own married life, in his own life. So sabi niya, Lord, ano po ang gagawin ko? And the answer of the Lord, in response to Peter, when he told him, get behind me, Satan. You are not thinking as God should think, but as human beings are thinking. It's not that way that I'm operating. Because my mission, if we are to paraphrase the gospel today, is to save you and humanity as Messiah, as you claim I am, Son of the living God. But that can be done only when I sacrifice my life. I suffer. And so we listen to the succeeding, to the next verses. And then Jesus said to his disciples, whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Very, very clearly, the Lord is telling the disciples, Peter and company, kung gusto ninyong sundan ako at maging alagad ko, handa ba kayong mawala ang inyong sarili? Can you set aside yourself? In spiritual language, that letting go of oneself is called self-denial. Other spiritual writers would call it self-abnegation. That means I negate myself. It's no longer I. The terminology, the word I does not anymore exist with me. The I should be replaced by Jesus. That's the key. And Peter and his companions should be able to understand that later. Not at this time. Pentecost would lead them to that understanding when the Spirit would descend upon them. But now, hindi pa sila handa. So, we ask ourselves at this time, Lord, when I suffer and I go through trials in life, how do I face them? Paano ko hinaharap itong mga ito? The answer, obviously, from the Lord is, take up your cross. Don't deny that cross. Own it. Akuin mo yan. Because the cross and the resurrection, they are together. Without the cross, there is no victory. There is no resurrection. And in life, we know there is not one of us who will be free of pain and suffering. Araw-araw na binibigay ng ating Panginoon, we have to have the courage, the strength to be able to face this. And in practical terms, ano po ang magagawa natin? That's the power of prayer. The power of faith. Kaya nga dito sa atin, and I hope everyone realize that before I came, meron na naman ho tayong adoration chapel. In fact, it was 24 hours. And I'm told people come from different places to pray before the Lord. Why are they doing that? Why were they doing it? And why are people coming, even if this is not a 24-hour thing anymore? Because we know the Lord has promised. Anong pangako ng ating Panginoon? In the same Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, ano sabi niya? Come to me, all you who labor and find life burdensome, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon your shoulder and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart. Dear brothers and sisters, when we are so filled with pain and suffering in life, and we seem not able to carry them by ourselves, let's turn to the Lord. Alam nyo, naghahantay lang siya para sabihin natin sa Kanya, Lord, it's so heavy, I cannot carry them. Please help me. And it takes a lot of humility on our part to tell the Lord that. Sabihin mo nga sa katabi mo, kaya mo yan. Huy. Yes. We can do that if we believe. Remember, to have faith in God means to put ourselves under His loving care and protection no matter what. You know, I have known people who have gone through difficult times in life. But thanks be to God, at those difficult times, during those difficult times, they would tell me, Father, ang hirap. Alam mo, ang hingi lang nila sa akin, please pray for me. And then I tell them, yes, I will remember you in my prayers. So when someone comes to us and tell us, I'm going through difficult times now, ang bigat, ang hirap ng dinadala ko, the best consolation, the best help that we could offer to this to these people, to these persons is, you are not alone. I also have gone through this, but please believe in God. He will take care of you. He will never leave you alone. He will never abandon you. Jesus, the divine healer, have mercy on us. And now we profess our faith together.